All right, I don't know if I can compete with Mr. Davis's blue light glasses. Those are pretty cool. But I do have these Minnie Mouse ears, so maybe I've got that going for me. I'm branching out from hats. I'm just taking it in strange new directions, so who knows where I'll be next. All right, that's enough. You don't need to see that anymore. Let's review this a little bit. What you notice as sleep gets deeper, it goes less frequency, it vibrates less frequently, and the amplitude gets much higher. And really what I kind of don't like about this is this makes it look like REM is your deepest sleep. And Mr. Davis showed you in the last video that he showed. REM is actually, it's called paradoxical sleep sometimes because REM is basically like being awake. So if you wake up out of REM sleep, perfectly normal. So if you wake up, say, an hour and a half after falling asleep, and you get up and go to the bathroom, you probably woke up out of REM sleep. Totally, totally normal. So really, we should put this one up here because these waves up here, they are, well, really more like here, sorry. They're just below being awake. So you're awake, and then you skip REM going down, but then you come back up here, and then you hit REM. And then you go down, and you come back up here, and you hit REM again. And you notice this wave and that wave look really similar. And Mr. Davis talked about these waves right here. Have you ever been woken up by, say, a smoke alarm or something like that? And you wake up and it's like your body doesn't even obey commands. It's like, where am I? Am I alive? What's my name? You're just so confused. You probably were woken up out of this super deep sleep. This does not look like being awake. Your brain is not close to looking like this. And I call those delta waves, here's my mnemonic for this. They look like an airplane taking off and going high up into the sky and then landing like delta. Delta is an airline. So those delta waves are super high, like an airplane taking off into, 30,000 feet and then coming back down. And then the other way I remember these waves is they go, beta is the waking waves, beta, alpha, theta, they go bat, beta, alpha, theta. These are theta waves right here. And then you have the sleep spindles, kind of little bursts, and then you have K complex going up. And by the way, people used to think that when you were sleeping, your brain was not working at all. And then one night they accidentally, in the 50s, they kept an EEG on, I think it was a monkey that was sleeping, a chimpanzee, and they woke up and they're like, this machine is broken. All these waves kind of went crazy. So now they realize that your brain is doing a ton of work, and we're going to talk about that work coming up. Okay, and then we looked at all those definitions. I don't need to review those again because we just looked at them. I want to review this. Mr. Davis did a great job again. 90-minute cycles right here. Now, if we want to take a bigger picture, because Mr. Davis was kind of getting into the real specifics of this, look at the bigger picture. Ask yourself the question, where does our deepest sleep occur? Early in the night or late in the night? And you see our deepest sleep occurs late in the night. So if you want to sneak out of the house, you want to do it probably 45 minutes after your parents go to sleep because they're going to be in super deep sleep. You're not going to be able to wake them up at all. You don't want to do it or like at 4 in the morning because they're going to be spending a lot of time in REM sleep, and it's pretty easy to get woken up out of REM sleep. I'm not suggesting you sneak out of the house at all. I'm just just speculating about a hypothesis, as I used to say. So you notice that your deeper sleep is occurring later in the sleep cycle, and more REM sleep is occurring late in the evening. So if you're waking up too early, if you're not getting enough sleep, look at all this REM sleep that you're missing here. Excuse me, if you wake up at 4:30, you're missing more than half of your REM cycles that you would get during the night. So some people would say, wow, I was really restless in the morning. I just felt like I didn't get good sleep in the morning. Well, it means because you were in REM sleep. You were barely dipping out of consciousness going down into REM. But that REM is super important, rapid eye movement. We're going to get to that in just a minute. And as Mr. Davis said perfectly, stages 3 and 4, we're just going to put those together. NREM 1, 2, and 3 are all we're going to talk about. Okay. And by the way, I don't need to go back to it, but that's not a perfect cycle. That's just a rough cycle. About every 90 minutes, you go through that. Okay. So REM sleep is rapid eye movement. It's an EEG that looks like you're awake. It looks sort of like those beta waves, and they call it paradoxical sleep because your brain is looking like it's awake. It's really close. Sometimes it's even hard to tell from your brain waves whether you're dreaming or whether you're awake. Your brain is really working hard at that point. When you're in REM sleep, you will have something called sleep paralysis, or you should. And if you don't, you're going to have a real problem. Because your brain, that's when you're dreaming. Because while you're dreaming during REM sleep, you are dreaming that you're running away from somebody or that you're in a fight or something like that. You don't want to run in your sleep. That is dangerous. You don't want to fight in your sleep. That is dangerous. So you will, your body will paralyze itself. You will be in sleep paralysis so that you can't punch somebody or kick somebody or jump out a window. And in fact, there's a great comedy routine and book and movie called Sleepwalk with Me by Mike Birbiglia, and he had a REM sleep disorder, and it actually occurred in Walla Walla, Washington. And I can't remember what he was dreaming about, but he jumped through a plate glass window out of the second story of the La Quinta Inn in Walla Walla, Washington, and that's when he was diagnosed with a REM sleep disorder. So the idea is you want to be paralyzed while you're in REM sleep, otherwise you're going to hurt yourself or somebody else. Yeah, okay. So that is when you dream. And then we're going to talk a little bit about sleepwalking and night terrors. Oh, that's the other thing I do want to talk about. I forgot, now I remember. While you are paralyzed in sleep, some people wake up and the sleep paralysis doesn't wear off right away. So you're laying in bed and you can't move. You're awake. And some of you have had that where you're like, oh, I can't move. And you feel that feeling, that weird feeling of not being able to move your body while you're awake. That's just because your sleep paralysis hasn't worn off yet. Not dangerous, not going to cause a lot of problems, but it certainly is scary. And sleepwalking and night terrors don't occur during REM sleep, which is really interesting. We're going to talk about that coming up. Sleepwalking and night terrors occur during those delta waves, NREM3, way down deep. So you would think, wouldn't night terrors, isn't that like a nightmare? Nope, a night terror is not a nightmare. We're going to talk about those. Probably not in this, maybe not even in the next video, but certainly the one after that. Okay, so let's take a look at the difference between sleepwalking and REM sleep disorder. So sleepwalking will occur in those deep stages. REM sleep disorder will occur during REM if you jump out of the window of the La Quinta Inn in Walla Walla, Washington. Sleepwalking will occur early in the night because that's when your deepest sleep happens. REM sleep will occur later in the sleep cycle because that is where most of your REM is. If you are sleepwalking, you will not remember because your brain, you saw your brain waves in NREM3, your brain's just going, whoa, whoa, you're like the waves on the ocean. So you're not going to remember things when you sleepwalk. And then people who have REM sleep disorders, they remember because they're dreaming. They remember what they were dreaming about. When you're sleepwalking, you are more robotic. And in fact, what they will say sometimes is they will say, and I think I might have this on a future slide, but I want to make sure, they will say, never wake up a sleepwalker. It's really dangerous. It's not dangerous. It's just hard. They're in deep, deep, deep sleep. So what's the point? Just get them back to bed and let them sleep, and they'll never even know they were sleepwalking. And then often in sleepwalking, I think of Liz Lemon from 30 Rock. She would get up and eat. She would cook something and she would eat. And she would never remember that she did it. She was worried, why am I not losing weight? Well, it's because she'd wake up in the middle, well, wouldn't wake up. She would sleepwalk in the middle of the night, cook herself something to eat, go back to bed. And they didn't even realize it until she had a hidden camera in the kitchen and caught herself cooking herself a meal. If you've never seen 30 Rock, it doesn't matter. That's all right. And you'll see sleepwalking is often your brain is not in sync while you sleep. It often, I mean, a lot of kids sleepwalk and sleep talk and stuff like that. But usually for REM sleep disorder, that doesn't occur until later on in life. So very, very different things. And as I mentioned here, sleepwalking, night terrors can be caused by sedatives, that's, tranquilizers, things like that, stress, excessive tiredness, your nervous system isn't working quite right because you're younger and you're still developing, or anything that increases the length or strength of that NREM3, that low wave sleep. I already talked about waking a sleepwalker is not dangerous. And then a night terror. I want to talk about the difference between a night terror and a nightmare. Mr. Robbins, his son Norman, would have night terrors when he was a boy. And he would wake up and he would get well, he wouldn't wake up. He was in deep sleep, NREM3. His eyes would open and he would go, oh my God. Oh, and he just looked like he had seen the gates of hell. And it would scare his parents. They were like, my God, what is he seeing? And then they'd calm him down, they'd get him back to bed. And then in the morning, they'd say, Norman, what was the problem? What were you thinking about last night? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember anything. It's just this weird night terror. A nightmare, you remember. A night terror is just like somnambulism, which is another word for sleepwalking. Somna meaning sleep, ambule meaning walk. So sleepwalking or night terrors occur in that NREM3 sleep. Okay, I'm going to let Mr. Davis take it from here.